The Hunter's Trial by Skye Johnson. Chapter 1. Tio. Gravel crunches underfoot as I strain to defend myself from yet another well-hewn blow. It comes with a slow, patient sort of grace, which makes my half-skilled hand look all the more loose in comparison. Too soon I'm crashing toward the floor, wooden blades drawing to a stop above me, and my opponent sighs. "I know you can do this," says Corvin. They look down at me, having stopped offering hands several rounds ago, and watch as I brush off the dirt to stand to meet them. "I'm pretty sure I'm hopeless," I say. "Good thing I have you around, since no one else will practice with me." "Why is that?" "I think the guards are afraid to. They've been avoiding me like the plague lately." "Yeah," Corvin says, running a hand distractedly over the fuzz of her shaved head. "You haven't been alone in that." They shake off the thought and walk a few paces off, back toward where we started, then turn back smiling. "At any rate, I think it's your form that's scaring them off. That or your attitude, your highness." "Now that's gotta make you the bravest soul in the army," I say. "And the most honest. It's no wonder Sir Orvik wants to make you captain." "Is that the word around the castle?" asks Corvin. "It's the word about town." I shift the wooden hilt in my hand and set my feet apart in a packed earth. "In fact, you're so impressive that I may just need to knock you down a peg." "Does that mean you're trying now?" I study the weight of it for a moment, then flip the sword in the air, catching the hilt with ease. Corvin smiles. Finally, Corvin and I take our places once more in the ring. Before either of us can make a move, a sound like a galloping of a giant's horse erupts from just past the barracks. The steps and the viewing places around us creak with a sudden weight, though not with spectators. I look out at the deserted corner of town, tracing the commotion back across the high walls to the arch peeking just over the stony horizon. With a ready haste, the east gate heaves open, and from the hills beyond comes a rush of worried voices, their calls clawing over each other and against the stone, searching desperately for any purchase. "What is that?" I ask. "The hunters aren't due back until night." "Can't be anything good," says Corvin. We let the practice swords fall to the ground. Corvin finds their longsword and I my mother's curved blade. Its polished steel glints in the sun, warmed by the near summer rays, and the weight feels familiar in my hand. I hold tight to it as we make our way to the gate, working into a run with each concerned passer-by that gathers before its massive doors. However, it takes me a moment to realize the nature of the crowd, not a guard among them. Putting on my glasses and squinting into the mess, the only familiar face I can make out is that of a proud man atop the wall, coming slowly from the gate, winched to sit in one corner. "Sir Orvik!" calls Corvin. "What is it? I didn't hear an alarm." Orvik leans over the battlements. Though the large man has been through many battles, he suddenly looked tired and weary, the weight of his armor bearing down on him. It takes me a second to realize just how firm his grip is on the stones. "It wouldn't do much good, I'm afraid." He takes a level look at the two of us, then promptly returns to his corner, sitting to watch the scene below. Corvin sighs and climbs the support on the old wall to stand at his side. When I follow, I can hear Sir Orvik muttering to himself in a way so unlike him and fidgeting with the ends of his gauntlets in an over-careful way. Sweat plasters his thinning blonde hair to his brow, though it isn't warm under the shade of his tower, and the captain hasn't moved more than a few feet all morning. "But I'm glad you're here," he says at last. "Kvada's finest got into trouble in the southern forest." "Denuo again?" asks Corvin. "Always," says Orvik. "And they've been getting bolder. Take a good look, especially you, Corvin. You would do well to pay attention if you want to command this fortress." "Yes, sir," replies Corvin, though they look agitated at the command. "I'll send for doctors and your soldiers if they are anywhere to be found. And tell the queen," I add. "If Denuo is back, we'd all be right to be concerned." Orvik stiffens. "No," he says, not quite meeting my gaze. He looks down toward the gate again, more for a distraction than anything. "We needn't trouble her over this." The doors below us shake once more, though not with the effort of opening. The old gate shifts on its foundation, sending dusts outward from the bricks before they settle back in place. Then, with a sudden burst, some looser stones in the arch begin to crumble, tumbling against the half-open doors and scraping the portcullis on their way down. Corvin and I lean over the now hazy entrance, and faintly I can see an end to the trail of hunters coming through. one near the back injured and being supported by the others as they fight to block out the debris. I climb over the battlements and down toward the gate. Orvik says something in protest, but I'm on the ground before I can hear, and his voice is lost to the din of those below. If the dust makes things difficult to see, the crowd of concern is worse. I try in vain to push my way through, backs turned to me, before Corvin hollers over the noise and shoves a few of them aside. For all their clamoring, there is little help to be had between them, and the swarm is suffocating more than anything. Still, when faced with Corvin's hard eyes and strong arms, they part like tall grass in a gale. We reach the gate together, passing more fleeting hunters on the way. Standing in the gate and still under its cracking arc are the three from before, our new hunter captain, Taryn among them. They stand with another hunter, supporting a third I don't recognize, though I don't know that I could, even if I knew them. Their faces painted and twisted beyond recognition, and the arrow in their chest paints red up to their collar and the knot of sun-bleached hair falling apart at their shoulders. Taryn stumbles under the weight, hand to the wound of their own, pulling it from the gash only to sign messily toward us. We both run in, though Corvin gives me a warning look against it and takes Taryn's spot supporting the defeated archer through the gate. The captain follows us through the failing entrance and back to the guards' quarters, keeping a close and worried eye on their people. The high arch groans one last time as it lets us through, settling finally when Sir Orvek drops the heavy gating. We stumble together back into the practice ring, though now it seems like another world. The wooden platforms around are piled with noisy viewers, their eyes concentrated on blood-soaked gravel floor and those who lie upon it. It makes an awful noise underfoot, the bite and grit of it exchanged instead for the soft and damp. Old blankets litter the floor, no doubt forged from the barracks by those still standing. We set the injured down by the rest, and Taryn sits at their side. At length, the hunter sits up, bleary-eyed, and takes some water. They look from one face to another, and their gaze catches on mine. They try to speak, but upon seeing the arrow lodged in their front, the words fall to a strained whisper. "Hey," I say softly. "What's your name?" "Idra." "Idra, look at me." I move closer, trying to distract from the wound, though the chaotic atmosphere gives plenty more to look at. "You're going to be okay. Help is coming." But Idra shakes their head and gets to mumbling again. "We didn't see them. Went too far into the terrible forest." They look to their captain, then back at me. "I'm sorry, Your Highness. We should never have—" "You don't need to worry about that now." Corvin, after chasing back some of the crowd and getting others settled, kneels beside us. "Is there anyone we can send for?" she asks. "Family or anyone else that you would want to see?" "No," says Idra. "I have no family." The hunter tries to say more, but their tongue is only met with blood. Words failing, they turn, signing to Taryn with unsteady hands. The captain signs back, and after a short exchange, Idra looks more at ease. They cough once, spilling red across their chin, then lie so still I can hear their breathing. In a last show of strength, they grasp Taryn by the hand, and both smile sadly. Not a moment later, Idra is gone. Tides of somber touch overwhelm the scene as the doctors arrive too late, pouring out from the shelter courtyard down the road. Corvin tries to move me away, keep things out of my view, but my eyes are already fixed on the fleeting dot of movement from atop the wall. "How could you let this happen?" I yell at Orvik. He turns, settled, and looks long down at me. "Are you really content to sit up there and do nothing?" "Where do you get off accusing me like that?" he says in a low tone, then sweeps his arm toward the mess. But his voice betrays him, ending in a rather undignified screech of words. "Anyone who gets too comfortable down there is as good as dead, and that's no fault of mine." "They wouldn't be if you sent for help in the first place," I say. "You have no right to call yourself captain over these walls if you're so ready to let their people die." "Theoden." Corvin puts a tentative hand on my shoulder and looks down at the stains Idra left on my clothes. "We should get you inside," they say gently. "Your sister would hate to see you like this." Orvik lowers his angry shoulders, dropping his head low over the battlements in defeat. "This is the way of it. Whether here or past enemy lines, sometimes there's nothing that we can do." I shrug Corvin off, and despite my anger, walk with them back toward the castle. Just outside the entrance, however, we see a strange sight. All the guards assembled, half-armored and dazed with drink, stand underneath the tower bridge. Corvin claps for their attention and pulls them off to some task or another back by the gate, urging me home as they go. When the soldiers are cleared away, I can see the one who roused them. Standing alert under the bridge is a young woman in a yellow cloak, which flows onto a scarf about her shoulders. She stands no more tall or imposing than I, but has quiet strength in her manner, as if the earth were kept under us by only the weight of her footsteps. "I have news," says Lily, coming out to meet me. "Could it wait?" I ask, walking past. "I have to talk to Wynne. With Orvik in charge out here, she'll never hear about any of this." "Actually, it can't." And as she says the words, all the chaos of the morning melts away. "It's Bastion. We found him.